is Flora Bidali. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the National Legal Aid Service. Now, the background of legal aid in Kenya starts long before even independence. However, this legal aid was being provided majorly by the civil society. It was not until 1998 that government came in. This was through a committee that was set up by stakeholders, which included the judiciary, the state law office, the probation office, and aftercare services. Then we also have the children's department, Law Society of Kenya, even the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. They then were mandated to come up with a scheme of how access to justice can be provided in Kenya. Then in 1999, they came up with a procedure in which this legal aid may be provided. A scheme was set up, but this took a while because it was not until 2001 a framework was developed for access to justice. But this framework was not really implemented until 2002. This is when we had a new government in place. The government then, amongst the new ministries that were formed, was the Ministry of Justice. The ministry was mandated to give a direction on legal aid in Kenya. And in doing so, they then set up legal aid clinic within the ministry. Every week on Wednesday, all the legal persons, the advocates within the ministry, would provide legal aid services to members of the public at no fee. Now, this continued for a while, and due to an overwhelming demand for legal aid services in Kenya, they then came up with yet now a program which was to be followed in order to provide legal aid services. Then we had the pilots. We had in Nairobi, we had in Nakuru, in Eldoret, Kisumu, and Mombasa. And the areas that they were providing these legal aid services was in children matters. It could be maintenance matters or children in conflict with the law, family matters, that's matrimonial cases or succession matters. Then we had the capital offenses, and then we also partnered with the Moi University in Eldoret, where they had a clinic doing ADR, that's alternative dispute resolutions and mediation. And all this was providing services to the indigent persons in Kenya. Now, out of this, still there was an overwhelming demand for legal aid services in Kenya. Then come to 2016, we came up with the Legal Aid Act. Now, the Legal Aid Act then gave birth to the National Legal Aid Service. You'll recall previously we were the National Legal Aid and Awareness Program, but now it's the National Legal Aid Service. This is where we continue to provide services to the indigent persons. Now, the mandate of the National Legal Aid Service, also known as NLAS, is to provide access to justice to the indigent person, to create awareness of legal aid matters, and also to partner with stakeholders so that to empower in doing civil awareness to members of the public. We have quite a number of success stories with us here. We have had cases starting from the very beginning and going through the justice system and having positive results for the client, which is what they have been expecting.
My name's Teresia Anthony Molo. I'm a mother of two daughters. Currently, the first one is 17 years now, and the younger one is now 10 years old. Yeah, the older one is a candidate now from 4, and the younger one is in class 5. I'd come to NALEP Initially through Milimani Court. I've been going through an abusive relationship and my children were suffering a lot due to neglect by the father. So I had no choice. I'd looked for ways to get assistance. I went through the chief, I went through the children's office, but one way or another, I don't know, they could not assist me. And my situation was bad. So I got the courage and I just decided to go to court because I had cases when cases are being had in court. So I just took that initiative and I went to court. I went to Milimani Court, and there at the reception, I asked for assistance. And someone asked me if I knew a lawyer or I can afford a lawyer. I said I don't even have a single cent because I trekked even to go to the court. And they advised me, they told me there's a place they can assist me, and they wrote an address. So, and they directed me to this building, KCS building, 9th floor. That's where I came to know about NLAS, NALEP, yeah. So I came and sought the assistance. That was in 2013. The reception was good. The first time I came, the place was packed. It was full. I didn't know where to start, but I was directed to a reception area, the seats, and I was asked to sit and wait for my turn. So when my turn came and I was introduced to the person who was in charge there at the reception, and they explained to them my problem, and they said they are going to assist me. And they asked me if I needed to go through mediation because I was totally literate. I didn't know anything, just a mere housewife in the house. So I said, I just want to go to court. And I heard that you can assist me and I don't have money and I cannot afford a lawyer. But I was directed here and I was told that you are going to assist me. And they agreed. They said, yeah, that's what we do. We can assist you. We are going to prepare documents for you based on the information you're going to give us. And then it is up, you're going to take the information to court, the file to court, and open the file there. Actually, they were very welcoming. They assisted me well. The only charges that I got is when I was going to file the documents in court, I was made to to pay for the filing charges, which I did. And when I got the first summons I got, I was asked to go and serve him, and the office NLAS here assisted me. I got a court process server who assisted me to serve the defendant. And after serving him, surprisingly enough, that day he went and paid the school fees for the children, and the children were able to go to school. So I know I benefited a lot from that time. It was not easy, but I realized that there's a law in this land, and there are officers that can assist, whether you have money or whether you don't. You can come and ask for any assistance. Actually, to me, I feel like the NLAS is like a directory. It's a legal directory that you can come here and inquire for any legal matter, and they can assist you. If they cannot help you themselves, they can direct you to where you can get assistance. So I advise anyone who's out there and they are suffering in silence, they should gather courage and come and seek legal assistance. When you're in problems, you should not be ashamed, because in this world, problems are there. What we need to do is that that is why we have offices everywhere. The government has done a great work trying to ensure that there are departments that can assist us in all areas of our lives. And I thank the government so much, even for the thought that they came up, because they realized not everyone can afford legal advice. And when this NLAS came, I'd never heard about it. I'd never heard about it being advertised anywhere. If it's not the courage that I took and decided to seek help, I couldn't have known, or I could have gotten help. And surely there are some people that have assisted also. I've talked to them from my experience. They have been able to come here and have also gotten assistance. Yeah.
Mimi naitwa Collins Kadenge na nilijua kuhusu hapa NALEP wakati nilikuwa nataka kuona mtoto wangu, alafu nikapata challenges za kumuona, so nikaenda children department in Embakasi. Wakanituma hapa, waliniandikia notes, wakanituma hapa, nikakuja nikajieleza, wakakubali kuchukua kesi yangu. Wakati nilifika, niliulizwa ni nini nimejaribu kufanya, yani zile steps nimechukua ndio nikafika hapa. Nikawaeleza, nikawaambia hata vile nimefika hapa saizi nimetoka children department na sijaweza kupata usaidizi, na nimekuwa huko mara kama 2. So ikiwa mara 2 sijapata usaidizi, wakasema hiyo iko beyond how, so wewe enda yani advance, enda the next stage. So mimi sikuwa najua kuna mahali kama hapa unafika unafanywa mediation. So mediation ikikataa, ndio naambiwa sasa wewe unaweza kaenda kotini, na koti ilikuwa by that time koti ilikuwa ni kama kitu geni sana kwangu. Sikuwa najua, tulikuwa tunazoea ukifika pale koti, yani ni kama unapelekwa pale kizimbani, unasimama, unajieleza. Sasa hiyo ndio ilikuwa picture yangu ya court. So nikaanza kuimagine kuna umati ya watu mahali, so neno unasimama pale unajieleza, and then so ilikuwa si jambo rahisi kwangu, lakini nikapelekwa through process hiyo yote. Unafunzwa vile ukienda kotini, the do's and don'ts. Ningependa kushukuru Endless kwa kuchukua kesi yangu. Kama wangechukua kesi yangu, ingekuwa a lot of challenge for me, especially pande wa kifedha.
We partner with so many people in order to provide the best services that we can, and let the client have access, let the client have their rights without much delay. Alternative dispute resolution is a process that is being used to try and settle disputes out of the court. Now, when a client comes in, we will first hear the client and then assess whether this is a matter that can be settled out of court. Of importance to note is that not all matters will be settled out of court. Matters, say rape, defilement, will not be settled out of court. That must go to court. However, if it is a family matter, maybe it's a child maintenance, which we handle many times, those are our key areas. These are matters that can be settled out of court. We summon the other party to come and see if we can come up with an agreement on how a child can be maintained. It can even be an employment matter. We will summon the employer and we mediate to see how can we agree on this matter without necessarily going to court. The advantage of this alternative dispute resolution is, 1, it is time. You save a lot on time. 2, you save a lot on the money. And thirdly, you also decide what it is that you want. Everybody puts on the table what they expect, and then you try to agree. It's a give and take situation where both parties will be happy. It's a win-win for all parties. Unlike in court, where the court will make its order without necessarily looking at the inner details of the client's expectations.
National Legal Aid Service mainly uses mediation, which is a process that brings together two parties in disagreement to talk about their issues and come up with a mutual amicable solution. The service has trained mediators who facilitate the mediation sessions for free. The mediators also guide the process according to the relevant laws. In the event the mediation turns out to be successful, the service allows the parties to enter agreement. The party files the same agreement in court for adoption. Where the process fails, or if the nature of the matter if the nature of the case cannot be handled through mediation, the party is advised to proceed to court.
When a client requires our services, we have a toll-free line. This is 0800 720 640. That's a free toll line that we are using, and it is going to be in all police stations or all over in public places at the chief's areas for clients to be able to get us. Now, once we are reached, a client comes to our office, we do a client intake interview. This is mainly to assess whether this person qualifies for our services. Not everyone qualifies. If you have an income that can support you in filing a matter in court, then you may not qualify for our services. However, as I said earlier, our services are for the indigent person. That is somebody who may not afford the paying an advocate to act for them in court. So once the client qualifies, then we start the process of providing these services. Depending on the nature of the case, we will start by first contacting the party, and then if that does not work, we will proceed to file the matter in court on behalf of this client. We also have pro bono advocates on board who also help in filing matters in court and representing clients in court. There are clients who may not be able to express themselves in court, and for that reason, a pro bono advocate comes in. But if a client can represent themselves, then we take them through the court process for them to represent themselves in court.
I am Mutegi Mudhomi, a state counsel with the National Legal Aid Service. And legal representation model employs two approaches. Namely, there is the pro bono and then there is self-representation. When it comes to pro bono, we usually refer our clients to a pool of advocates who we have partnered with to offer their legal services at the state's expense. Mostly the matters that we refer to our pro bono advocates are those that are highly complex, that a client cannot adequately represent themselves. Then the second approach is the self-representation model approach, whereby this applies to when matters are less complex and we train the client to represent themselves in court. It entails the following steps. One is whereby we draft the pleadings. We then take the clients through the pleadings, and then the third step or stage is to train them and to inform them on the filing and the service of their documents. The nature of self-representation would call for us to train these clients frequently, and this we do through monthly group trainings where we enlighten them on their roles and the court's procedure and processes. We also employ this mode in criminal matters, specifically targeted to accused person in remand, and also in the prisoners. When it comes to this, we usually go physically to the prisons. We then train them on their role and the trial process. While legal representation applies to active cases, there's also a need for us to go to another model which is generally targeted to the large population at large, which is legal awareness.
The cost for a client in our office are not really there because we do not charge for our services. The only thing that the client will be informed is if the matter proceeds to court, then they will pay the court filing fee. But the services rendered by the National Legal Aid Service are at no cost at all to the client. We are happy to say that we do have success stories, many in fact, and this success can be looked at in different ways. Our clients, on many occasions, have referred clients back to us. The clients that we are providing services to have also talked about the services we have rendered to them out there. And also, having clients having the confidence to represent themselves in court has given them confidence generally in life. So our success is wide and it goes a long way from the services that we render. The word indigent is used for the people that we are providing the services. An indigent person is one who does not have the means to afford to pay for legal services. Now that will fall in the bracket of being an indigent person. Then we have the pro bono advocate. A pro bono advocate is an advocate of the High Court who will render services to this indigent person at no cost. We look at the person's income. We have a means test that we use, and if this person passes the means test, and also we look at the case that the person is bringing to us. Is it a case that stands to be mediated, or is it a case that must go to court? Then we will make a decision on, firstly, whether to represent this person because they have passed the means test, or there's an overwhelming injustice that may be subjected to this person if we fail to represent them. And also, what are the success cases rate if this matter is to go to court. Besides Nairobi, where our headquarters is, we have offices in Nakuru, Mombasa, Kisumu, and Eldoret. And the services that we render, since they cater for all citizens, we have also trained a number of chiefs. We have trained police officers on how to handle clients when they go to their station. We've also trained prison officers and civil society. Now, when a client requires services and goes to these persons I've mentioned, they will be able to be addressed. And if their matter is not addressed there, then they will be referred to our offices for us to take up the matter. Children will automatically qualify for our services. A refugee with refugee status will qualify for our service. The IDPs, that's persons who have been displaced, will qualify for our services. And also, overall, a citizen of Kenya who then passes the means test will qualify for our services. This is a test that will assess your overall income, and the income includes your spouses, where the person is married, what is the income that they have between them. Then we will look at what family do you have, what are your responsibilities. For instance, you may have a child who did not get the government loan to the university, and yet you earn a lot of money, but the money is paying for this child to go to university and also supporting the family. So the means test is not cast in stone. We look at what is your income and what are your basic responsibilities. Then we will decide whether you qualify or not. However, also remember that if the matter at hand is such that there will be grave injustice if you fail to get legal aid, then you will be provided with the legal aid. We also have a board. This board has the discretion to choose to take up a matter, even though that matter is not listed as amongst the matters that will be provided with legal aid matters, services. For instance, a public interest case that would attract the services of the National Legal Aid Service.
My name is Gerasimos Foulanos. I am the team leader of the EU project, which offers technical assistance to the National Legal Aid Service in Kenya. What we will prioritize is to help set up complete legal aid facilities in 12 counties, which include 7 of the, let's say, poorest counties in Kenya, as well as 5 big urban areas, one of them being Nairobi, because in urban areas, automatically, just because they are big urban concentrations of people, you get also many destitute people. And we will assist with training with setting up the offices, procuring equipment, furniture, computers, vehicles. We will help create a legal aid application which can be used on mobile phones. We will also look into the regulatory aspects. The project was supposed to help draft the regulations which are necessary for the application of the 2016 Legal Aid Act. They are Wajir, Mandera, Lamu, Tana River, Garissa, Marsabit, Isiolo, Kisumu, Nairobi, Mombasa, Uasin Gishu, and Nakuru.
Our services, also of importance to mention, is that the power that we get to render these services is from the Constitution, particularly Article 48, Article 50, and the 5th Schedule. They mandate the government to provide services to the public, especially for those who may not afford to hire their own advocate. And that is how the National Legal Aid Service comes in to create a balance between one who has the funds to afford an advocate and the one who does not have the funds to afford the services of an advocate. National Legal Aid Service is there to create access to justice for all.